Americans under 30 rank the economy as a top factor in who they will vote for this fall. A new CBS poll finds it's a major factor for 78% of younger voters. Ahead of Thursday's debate, the Biden campaign has a new ad airing in Pennsylvania and Georgia, hitting Donald Trump on economic issues.
Donald Trump loves to attack Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
Because he's focused on revenge, and he has no plan to help the middle class. He'd just give more tax cuts to the wealthy. Joe Biden is working every day to make your life more affordable. He capped the cost of insulin, lowered healthcare costs, and made big corporations pay their fair share.
Let's bring in Democratic Congressman Brendan Boyle, who represents Pennsylvania's 2nd congressional district, which is better known as a big part of Philadelphia. Congressman, good to have you with us. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen a poll since about April giving President Biden any sense of an edge over Donald Trump in your home state. What does the president have to do to turn things around in Pennsylvania to make sure he wins again?
Well, it's good to be with you. Pennsylvania is, of course, yet again the biggest battleground state in the nation, as it was in 2016 and 2020. The state was decided by 1 point or under in both of those elections, and I think it'll be razor thin again. I'm looking forward to the debate on Thursday night because you have the opportunity to look at a president who was governing, who has led this nation through the recovery from COVID, versus a president who was only known for chaos and confusion. I look forward to that contrast, and I am confident that President Biden will win Pennsylvania and win re-election this November.
We know that debate prep is underway up at Camp David, that there have been some mock debates held and will be held going up to before he leaves for Georgia. If the president called you during one of the breaks and said, Congressman, what do I have to do? What do I need to do to win over your constituents? What would you tell him?
Well, I would welcome that call, but I'm not expecting it. What I would tell the president, as I've had the opportunity to tell him previously when we've traveled back home to Pennsylvania together, to affirmatively make the record that Joe Biden is on the side of middle-class America. It's yet again Scranton versus Mar-a-Lago. Donald Trump is just for the richest 1% of Americans. When Trump was in office, what did he do? He attempted to take away health care from 30 million Americans by stripping away the Affordable Care Act. And then, after that failed attempt, he pushed through his tax cuts, 83% of which went to the richest 1%. Compare that to the Biden Democratic agenda, which is about middle-class economics. I look forward to most of the rest of this campaign being looked at through that frame.
Part of the reason why we wanted to have you here is because, as you mentioned, you're someone who sees him pretty frequently when he's out in public. How many times has he been to your district since he became president? I mean, we're pushing at least 10 times, right?
No, it's actually double that. I'm proud to say that besides Delaware, of course, we've had Joe Biden in my district in southeastern Pennsylvania more than any other congressional district in the country. So it shows you how much this president understands and cares about his birth state, whether it's Scranton or Philadelphia or out to Pittsburgh and Erie and all points in between. He knows Pennsylvania. It was a great advantage when I-95 collapsed in my district right around this time last year. He was on the phone with me within 24 hours talking about how we were going to fix it in record speed, and that's exactly what the White House achieved.
Well, it doesn't hurt that you're a swing district inside a swing state, inside a big city that he loves. So yeah, that didn't hurt either.
I will take it all, whatever it takes. But it's great to have a president who I can honestly say knows our city, Philadelphia, and our state more than any other president in my lifetime.
Well, and there's another reason we wanted to have you here is because you've introduced a fun idea ahead of July 4th. You're proposing that the House and Senate hold a commemorative joint session of Congress in your hometown of Philadelphia on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, to honor the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence at a little building there in Philadelphia. First of all, kudos for planning ahead, but how would this work?
Yeah, so since 1800, since the nation's capital was taken away from Philadelphia and moved to Washington, D.C., only twice in American history has Congress met outside Washington, D.C. The most recent occasion was 2002 in New York on the one-year anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. The other occasion was at Independence Hall in 1987 to commemorate the bicentennial of the Constitution. So this would be a third such special meeting. It would again be in Independence Hall, which I'm honored and fortunate to get to represent in my congressional district. And I frankly have modeled my legislation off of the 1987 precedent, the only other time this happened in Philadelphia. I think it would be a special convening. It would commemorate our 250th birthday as a nation, the semi-quincentennial, but it would also be, I believe, a unifying moment at this period in which we are, let's face it, more divided than perhaps any point since the 1850s.
You said it there, semi-quincentennial, that's how you pronounce it?
I have spent the last several years practicing how to say semi-quincentennial just to get ready for this moment.
Because it's going to be a pretty big one for your district. Congressman Boyle, we'll track the progress of that bill. If it happens, we'll see you in Philadelphia in 2026. We'll see you before that, though. We appreciate it. Thanks for spending some time with us.